there's two types of motivation. There's push motivation, as I'm sure you know. That's where you're using willpower and making yourself do it. And, Jordan, you have an enormous amount of willpower. My respect for you is through the roof, all that you've dealt with and all that you've done. And it's helped shape who you are because you haven't given up and moved forward. But there is a limit to willpower. I got a lot of willpower too. So, but there's no limit to pull motivation. Pull motivation is where something that you care about more than yourself, something that's a magnificent obsession, something where you're contributing. It could be your kids, it could be your family, but all that ties to the aim of your values that move you forward. And so we have a 6-day process I do called Date with Destiny. And by the way, if your viewers ever want to get a feel for it, there's a documentary on Netflix called Tony Robbins, I'm Not Your Guru, because I'm not here to be your guru. But it'll give you like an hour and 45-minute walkthrough, and it's pretty dramatic.
And the name of it again?
Tony Robbins, I'm Not Your Guru. It's on Netflix. And you see me deal with people that are suicidal and turning them around. And then you see us follow up 4 years later, so you see it last, because most people wouldn't think it lasts if you could make a change that quickly. So how does that relate to the study? Well, 2 professors, as I understand it, we were approached by Stanford, and they said 2 of our professors had come here. They were clinically depressed, and they're off medication, and all they did was go to this 6-day program. We don't understand it. Do you have data on this? And I said, sure, I've got millions of testimonials. And so they said, no, scientific data. I said, no, that's not been my focus. My focus is just get results for people. But if you want to do one, I'm open to it. What would you like to study? And they said, well, right now is the middle of COVID. And they said, depression is through the roof, suicides through the roof, overdoses are through the roof. I said, I know. And they said, we'd love to test this non-pharmacological approach to it that you have and see what it really produces, because this seems miraculous. And I said, well, it's not miraculous. It's just rewiring the way in which people perceive their world. If I'm going to go do the Dakar race where I'm going to go, 9,000 miles to the Sahara Desert, you can't take the car you're currently running and expect it. You're going to die in the desert. You need to have that car re-engineered. So, for example, the exhaust can get above the sand. Well, we help people re-engineer, and we don't tell them what to do. We show them how to re-engineer themselves, so they have their own autonomy and ownership. And I said, but tell me something. If we're going to study this, what do the meta-studies show? And the meta-studies show that they said that 60% of the people who come for treatment, whether it's drugs or therapy or both, 60% make no improvement. That's the average. 40% improve overall. The average improvement is 50%. So I said, so they're half as depressed as they were? They said, yeah, some people get well, but most people are on drugs for the rest of their lives. And I said, you could almost do that with a placebo. And the guy had a nervous laugh, and he said, well, yeah, maybe. I said, I'm sure it sounds like hubris, but I said, just based on history, I'm sure we'll do better than that. I said, what's the best study of all psychiatry you've ever seen in terms of wiping out these symptoms?